Welcome back to the Church Resource, where we talk about all the best resources for churches, leaders, and lay people, as well as how to handle uncomfortable situations. Foreshadowing. I'm Lucas Pinckard, and I'm here with Dr. Chris Respass.
Hey, man, what's up with
Dude,
you?
you've been rocking those specs for a few episodes now.
Bro, I'm
Looking good.
blind. I need to see.
Well,
hey.
so like you got those. Are they becoming like your new favorite, or are they just like new?
They're becoming my new favorite, and I think
because it's a pretty light set of glasses.
Yeah, they're light and they grip well.
Yeah.
You know, they don't hurt so much, like behind the ear like some of them do.
Yeah.
So I like these. Yeah,
are you gonna do what like a half of your pastoral staff has started doing and go with the Meta Ray Bans?
No. No, I'm gonna let
shout out to Timo.
To Timo, no, bro. I'm gonna let him record. I'm gonna run.
He's just doing that.
Yeah,
maybe that's what we need to get him for Pastor's Appreciation, is those Oakleys that now have it, so he's got the regular glasses and sunglasses.
Lord, I can't do it.
But that does bring us to today's topic. How do we handle Pastor's Appreciation Month? Like it's either over, just getting ready to be done whenever we do this.
Yeah.
This one is this is a tricky one for me, man, because I struggle with this.
Yeah.
And more of it is a personal struggle than it is like a theological struggle.
Okay.
Right? Because I do feel like there's a lot of stuff in the scripture that like there is a need for encouragement. There's need for appreciation. There is a lot of biblical context that you can give that like, hey, if we want to do something for our pastor or for one of our pastors if we're a church with a larger staff, then like the Bible does encourage us to do that.
Sure.
Right? So there's nothing biblically that I can point to and be like, nope, you're not supposed to do anything for us. Leave us alone.
Leave us be.
There is part of me that sometimes feels that way, that like people are like, oh, this is what we're doing for pastoral appreciation. I'm like, for who?
Right.
Yeah, I've read y'all's emails all year. Why all of a sudden in October do y'all decide you're done?
Yeah.
No, there.
You get a month reprieve.
Yeah.
What is it? Well,
so I think the biggest thing is, and we've talked about this before, I am generally uncomfortable with praise for what I feel like is me doing my job.
Right, I hear you.
Right, so like I'm in this area where, if you were to do the 1 through 5, right, of like, doesn't meet expectations, needs improvement, 3 being meets expectations, above expectations, and like exceeds.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm somewhere between like 2 and 4, right, then like maybe I need a little bit of correction, but I don't need any rewarding until I get to 5.
Right.
My other theory is that if you consistently believe that I'm a 5, then you need to adjust your standards so that if I'm consistently meeting 5, then you need to reset the expectation there, and we need to start moving goalposts so that I'm improving.
Gotcha.
And that's the way that I've always approached it. Like if I was in the corporate world, the ministry world, like whatever.
Right.
That's it. If you consistently circle 5 for me on something, then we need to start moving my goalpost so that I'm improving.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the competitiveness that I have, right?
Sure.
Maybe that's my own like personal desire to want to get better, that like fire or hustle, whatever you want to call it. That I've got, like, maybe that's it.
It's that dog in you, Doc.
Bruv. So like I think that there is part of it that's that.
Sure.
But there is also a part where I do have concern that these types of things could make me, and I think have made some other pastors, guys that I'm friends with, and we've had conversations about this, so I'm not going to share their names, but I don't mind sharing this, is that it has made them kind of rest on their laurels a little bit.
Okay.
And that is something I think for us in ministry that we can't do.
Sure.
So like before we unpack all of my my psychological issues that I've got going on around this, right? Like how do you approach it? And before I do that, I want to say I am incredibly appreciative and very encouraged whenever people do write notes and letters and give encouragement.
Sure.
We've had some just wonderful people who have baked stuff for us as pastors appreciation stuff, which is amazing. We've had some people who've just been incredible, like taking up collections and all kinds of things, like to give us honorariums that have just been overwhelming for me with the amount of grace and love and care that I've been seeing. And I have taken all of that to heart and as encouragement.
Right.
So I'm not trying to discourage anyone from doing those things,
Right.
but that more just talking about from a pastoral perspective, like these are the things I legit struggle with. So, yeah.
No, that's good, man. I mean, I struggle with them too. We all have, whether it's our reasons or our baggage, things that we've, that we've seen, and it repulsed you or just made you uncomfortable or made me uncomfortable, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We bring all of that. Because I have my own, and not to be try to make it super spiritual or present myself in some kind of weird light, but I'm always concerned that people will unintentionally put me in a battle with God,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And where I'm feeling like, I'm battling God for His glory. You know what I'm saying? It makes me uncomfortable. Well, first of all, just my nature is to downplay all of that stuff.
100%.
Oh, you did a good job, or we really appreciate. Oh, thank you. Pray for me. That kind of stuff. So that's just kind of how I'm wired, and I suspect that probably a lot of folks who feel called by God and feel like serving Him, is the high calling. And that are comfortable with people, heaping praise on them, because you don't want to feel like you're being self-absorbed or,
right.
Misappropriating, the people's, attention and focus.
Yeah, and
you
there
know
is
what I'm saying?
100%, and I think that there's a balance between, and it's an internal struggle because, like, realizing that anything good that someone sees in me is because of the gifts that God has given me. But that those things feed so directly into my identity and my ego because I am under the calling that God has given me. Now, and that's not to say that there is a special calling for vocational pastors that we experience that other people don't, in the sense of living out our calling, right? Like if you're, the manager of a Dollar General store and God's got you where He wants you and you know that 100%, then that's awesome. If you're a professional musician, that's great. If you're a businessman, that's great. And here's the reason why is because all of the people that you are meant to interact with, whether at the store, whether, in the music world, whether at the church or whatever, and however you're serving the Lord, like, those are incredible things. The reason I use that example, the manager of the Dollar General store, is we got a friend who that's what he's doing. And he's having an impact for Christ in that area.
That's right.
And it's only because, like, he finally said, you know what, if this is where God has me, then that must be, like, this is where my calling is to be.
Right.
Cool. Right? So I think as pastors that there's a place where we have to get in humility, where we realize that, and that we're constantly fighting against the things that the positive things that people are saying going to our heads, and the negative things that people are saying from affecting our identity and our worth of our call, right, and how we view ourselves in Christ. That battle is so prevalent that to get appreciation for a lot of us feels either uncomfortable, undeserved, or, like you said, that it puts us in a place where, maybe we do feel like we're at odds with God, where people are giving us glory which should be going to God, and man, it's a hard place to be, in wrestling with that.
Sure it is, and I think too. Part of this is, when you said humility, to kind of maybe push it a step further, is, we do have to grapple with what the Word says when it says, those who preach and teach, are worthy of double honor.
Yeah.
And contextually, that probably meant money, or it at least meant money.
Right, it at least meant money, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't make me feel any more comfortable with folks
Right.
showing appreciation, right? And they're not in nowhere. They're saying we'd rather have you than God, right?
But
Like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not
Right.
saying that at all. What they're saying is thank you for whether it's listening to God or allowing God to use you. And one pastor, and two things. One pastor said to me, you know what? You can't make people appreciate you. They either do or they don't.
Yeah.
You can't force them to appreciate you. And then the other thing was, somebody wanted to do something nice for me or for my family or something. I was like, nah, we're good, blah, blah, blah. And they said, listen, don't you block my blessing. Right? They felt that the Lord had touched them to do this thing, and me trying to be humble or me trying not to, steal some of God's glory, they felt like I was impeding them from doing what the Lord had called them to do.
Yeah.
And that's tough. It really is tough. And we want to feel appreciated. There's a lot of our brothers who are leaving the ministry because they pour out and nobody says, hey, good job, or thank you for what you're doing. I know I'm not easy to deal with, but you put up with me anyway. I appreciate it. And they're leaving the ministry.
Yeah.
Right. And, and so we want to feel appreciated, but how that happens, it isn't, we've talked about this. It is an uncomfortable place because you don't want people to think that you feel you're entitled to it.
Yep. And like that's the biggest thing. There was a period in time, or especially early in my ministry, where I put a stop to pastors' appreciation, where I was like, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
We're just absolutely not. And I had some older pastors that helped me right the ship. Right. And in the sense of what you're talking about, first off, like, don't steal other people's blessings.
Yeah.
And second was, hey man, if you've got a church that appreciates you, it's
a blessing.
It is a blessing. And it's also something that will get you through tough times.
Sure.
And that was something that I didn't really understand in the beginning, because I didn't have those tough times.
Right.
Right. Like we were seeing success. We were seeing things go well. Everybody was so excited that we had this new young pastor, and I had long hair and I had this beard, and there was like people, that were feeling like they could finally come to church and had a place where they could plug in. And so, we were growing and everything was going well. And I was like, no, we don't need to do this. Like, this is, we'll put this towards whatever else. Right. And the wisdom that they gave was like, this stuff will help you through those times, because you're going to have a note that somebody wrote you.
Right.
And, and in 3 years, y'all's relationship is not going to be the same.
Wow. And
so like having that note, right? Like even if you take it and you get rid of it, maybe you're somebody who keeps a file of them, or maybe you read them and you just, cherish them in your heart and then ditch them. But like that'll come back. And having that moment where you just evaluate, like, 3 years ago they were so thankful that I was here. They said that they appreciated me. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Allows you the opportunity to take a beat and maybe take ownership of some of those things. Or to evaluate, like, what is my part in this conflict?
Sure.
Right? And then on the other side is just realizing that, I had a good friend of mine once tell me that it's nice to be nice.
Yeah.
And they put it on some T-shirts and they're selling them at their church. You go to AntiochChristianFellowship.com and check it out. But like that type of thing is something that if we are willing to accept appreciation from others, we kind of set the tone for what that looks like in leadership.
That's right.
And so when we do things to appreciate other people, whether we, give, maybe we do something small. We give, $10 Starbucks gift cards or whatever to all of our Sunday school teachers or Bible study leaders or key volunteers, whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. When we do that appreciation thing, that as soon as that happens, that they will have the same attitude that we do.
Right.
And if that attitude is like, no, we don't do these things, like this is, we make these hard lines, we meet expectations, we have made no room for the mutual encouragement of one another, which is the very thing that, the reason Paul says he's going to Rome.
Right.
Is so that I might share with you this spiritual gift, that is, that we might be mutually encouraged by one another's faith, yours and mine.
Yeah.
Like now we as pastors have, snuffed out that fire that was meant and designed so that we could keep each other encouraged and doing those things. Yeah. And if we do that from the top, then, there's a lot of folks in our church that need that.
Yeah.
That they are designed to, and that's an important thing. Like they're designed by God to be motivated by something as simple as encouragement.
Right.
And that when we put out that flame, then we leave them without the ability to act in accordance to the way that they've been designed.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, that sucks.
But that's rich though.
Yeah.
I mean that's rich, and I frankly hadn't really considered that. The example of it.
Yeah.
And I think and I know you. I've thinking about the ways that I've handled appreciations, particularly for other people. We don't have a problem doing that.
No.
It's when it's coming back the other way.
Yeah.
And
this has been an ongoing conversation for us for 4 or 5 years at least.
Easy. And I mean, like in our case, I just kind of decided, so I think, for me, I was always concerned that people would think, whether it be culturally or just, church culture in the South, whatever, that it was always, more money centered.
Right.
And given, the diminishing respect that pastors are receiving, in the community, I didn't want to feed that by having people think, oh, we he's allowing this or promoting this appreciation thing because he wants some money.
Yep.
Right. And that's
so him and Charmaine can go have a cruise.
Exactly.
Must be nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look at the shoes they're wearing.
Yeah.
Or look at those eyeglasses.
Yeah, it is pretty nice actually. It's real nice. Yeah.
And so that's always in the back of your mind. You don't want to be seen as somebody that's trying to, rob the church or
like you're making a grift off your ministry. Yeah,
man. And so that's in the back of your mind. And so I we only have done pastoral appreciations when it came from the congregation. If there was grumbling about it, right, then I just suck it up and let it happen. But it wasn't anything that was annually scheduled. But what has helped me is the fact that people are considerate of the other associate pastors that we have, and because I wonder if there's a difference between a ministry that has a solo pastor, maybe it's 2 of them or something, versus a larger ministry. Like in my case, we got a bunch of guys, and I was always concerned about anything that was narrowly focused on the pastor, the senior pastor, the lead pastor, because there were other guys that were in the ministry that, whether culturally or just historically, had been excluded from that.
Yeah.
And now, folks are more attuned and have recognized that there are others who put their hands on the plow too, so that you can do what we do. but it's uncomfortable. I mean, I'm uncomfortable now, just
talking about it, right? Yeah,
you know?
it is. But I do. I want to before we hit our wrap up. I do want to encourage people to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Because as difficult and challenging as all of my thoughts and feelings on this have been to process over the last several years, right?
Yeah.
I'll just put it like that, right? Because that's the truth. As much as I've struggled with it, the thing is, when one of my other pastor friends is showing appreciation, whether it is throughout the year or during Pastor's Appreciation Month or whatever. And for those of you who don't know, October is official. I don't know who made it official. Hallmark made it a new holiday,
Yes.
Pastor's Appreciation Month.
You.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's another way for them to sell cards, like whatever, right?
Yeah.
So whatever that is, I love when I see the care their congregations have shown them.
Indeed.
And not everybody has the complex feelings around it, whether it be because maybe they're a little bit more secure than I am, just in general. Maybe that's the case, and I'm, I would say I'm fine with it. That's an area that I need to improve on, whatever that is. But it's so encouraging to see others be encouraged, and if that's something that you're doing. And you're listening to this, and it's getting close to the end of the month, and you're like, well, we haven't done anything for Pastor Appreciation. Let me just encourage you to do something.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be monetary. Right. You don't have to give a big gift. You don't have to give money. You don't have to give a gift card. If baking is something that you love, like make your pastor some cookies.
Yes, Lord.
We're not going to turn them
at
down.
all. Not a one.
No.
Not a one.
No, and we're not going to do that. If it's, maybe you got a pastor that's like no carb, or maybe their A1C is a little out of whack, right? Write a note.
Yeah.
Or send an email if that's easier, or text if that's what you want to do. But I'll tell you what, there's something about a handwritten note that I would, that it just speaks to my heart. We talked about it a while back, and the importance of like actually writing letters.
Yeah.
Which we didn't get into the fact that both of us are like way into pens. We'll have to do that on another episode. But that's something that is meaningful, even if we're not if you go by the love language, like I'm not a words of affirmation person, but it's representative of the time that somebody took.
That's right.
And that is something that's important. Maybe you just go, take them out to coffee.
Yeah.
And just, there's no agenda with anything. You just say, hey, listen, I appreciate what you're doing.
Indeed,
and, here, whatever I can do to pray for you. And if you want this to be 10 minutes over coffee so you can get to your next thing, or if you want to take an hour and just chat, like whatever you want, like I'm here for. And just, if they make it only 10 minutes, like don't take offense to it. Just be like, hey, this is what they had. I hope they enjoyed the coffee. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Like whatever that is, like show them that you care, because to Chris's point, man, there's more people dropping out of ministry than getting into it right now.
Right.
And we're seeing this massive shift across the board where more people are more interested in spiritual things than they ever have been. And there are more Christian pastors that are stepping out of ministry, not always away from the faith, sometimes that.
Right.
But stepping out of ministry because of the weight that they're carrying. And, I was listening to an R.C. Sproul sermon not too long ago, kind of just getting a different perspective on one of the passages I was teaching on. And he says, as a pastor, it's so important for us to be encouraged because he's like, I talk to pastors all over the United States, and I hear the same thing. Is that if there's 50 people in my congregation and 49 of them told me what a great job I did and how impactful it was and how much the Holy Spirit moved, the one person that told me that it was terrible, I can't get them out of my head all day and all week.
Living rent free.
And
that's right.
And he admitted, he was like, I'm the same way. And so many of us are.
Yeah. And
getting that little bit of encouragement, like you never know what's going to be the thing that puts it over the top to say, you know what? We're gonna make it another day or another week.
Yeah.
And I've held onto a bunch of those notes. Yeah. And if I'm down, I got a folder that's probably got 25 of them in there.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll just pull one out. if I'm having a rough day,
That's
and just
it.
read it. And whether it was somebody who took the time to write me a scripture or to encourage me, or even if they, there's some of them that have some really healthy, constructive feedback in them.
Yeah.
Then it's like, hey, I can see that you're really trying. You're not there yet, but you're doing good. And I want you to know that we're for you because we see that effort.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Like those are the things that when I'm in those dark moments that I can go to and do it. And I would encourage pastors too, man. Keep a few.
That's
Keep
it.
a few that are special. Have them on hand
That's
because
it.
we need that reminder.
That's it, man. I I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but I had a situation when I was young in the ministry and was preaching. It was preaching basically about living a life of integrity. And I probably had mentioned, about, a couple living together. This was the early 2000s. Anyway, lady was angry. She was a member of the church, was angry, left, didn't come back.
Mm-hmm.
Several years later, like 10, 12, 15 years later, I pull up into the church's parking lot because we didn't even have a building at that time.
Yeah.
And she was standing on the curb. I was like, "Good grief!" What
Yeah. What is about to happen?
Exactly.
What's about to go down? Yeah.
And she looked at me with tears in her eyes, and she said, "She's going on to be with the Lord now." And she said, "Pastor, I just wanted to tell you thank you." She said, "I didn't like what you said 10 years ago, 12 years ago. But the Lord helped me to see what you were trying to say. And I just appreciate you telling me. I appreciate, it wasn't even to her. I was preaching,
Right.
But she said, I just appreciate you doing what the Lord said do. And, she never bought me anything.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to choke these tears back now. But she said that. And it's filed away in my heart.
Yeah.
And because there are times when, you just don't always feel like, it's right, it's going right. But the Lord touches people's hearts,
Yeah.
to whether it's to write it or to just say it or sometimes to just hug you and look you in the eye and just say, man, listen, it ain't easy, but we appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so if you're listening and you're trying to figure out what to do, listen, just come from the heart. And if you're like me and Lucas, that you struggle with people, demonstrating their love toward you by telling you how much they appreciate your sacrifice, just be humble and let them do it, and trust that the Lord is going to give you the strength to not let it go to your head, but to receive it in the spirit that it was offered, and to keep your hands on the plow and do what He's called you to do, what He's anointed you to do, what He's gifted you to do. Because that means something is going right. If people, because you can't make people appreciate you. And so if they want to express that, then you're doing something right.
Yeah. Well, I got nothing to add to that, man. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening, for supporting us in this endeavor as we are attempting to help churches, pastors, leaders, and lay people, as we say.
That's it.
Yeah. So if you've got a topic that you want us to cover or a resource that you want us to take a look at, shoot us an email at thechurchresource@gmail.com. That's thechurchresource@gmail.com. And until next time, you guys have good, get give, and we'll see you.
Holla.